You're just standing on the cusp of what's okay, not morally great.
Welcome, Liz. We're just getting started. Welcome, JoJo. Just hit the live button and just getting started on this particular issue. So welcome to a nice Saturday afternoon where I am. Thank you. Welcome, Robert. I'm interested to think what many on the right think about this particular issue and this prompt. So hopefully you can hear me well as this live is just getting started and more people join. I'm going to be taking 10 guests. So if you want to hang around and you want to be a guest and you want to answer this question for all of us so that we can all learn about what people think about this particular deal, and is it out of the ordinary? Is it a shady deal? Is it sort of just typical in working with allies and training them? This obviously was something that came to light yesterday, and it seems like MAGA is pretty upset about it, or certain, the MAGA sphere, certain MAGA influencers are upset about it. So I thought it's worthwhile doing a short live and taking 10 guests. So if you're interested in answering this question, you can jump into the box, and that's using the request to join as a guest using the pink and blue silhouette at the bottom. Let me turn down this volume on the music as we get more and more people in here, as I am just getting started on this. So what are your thoughts on having a Qatar Air Force facility on a U.S. Air Base in Idaho? Is it a shady deal? Is it related to Air Force One, the sort of gift that they had for Air Force One? And thanks for the likes. And I know do some administrative housekeeping. If you can throw some likes, and that'll expose the live to more people. And that's also always awesome. Now, if you're new to my channel, this is really important because I do talk about some issues from time to time. But if you're new to the channel, you have to please recognize I am a fierce independent. I am against both parties and the two-party system as it is now because they're both corrupt. And my platform is strictly based on eliminating corruption from our politics, meaning the big money that comes into by special interests, billionaires, and corporations. And most people think it's impossible. You can't get rid of it. It's not true. If there were 50 to 70 million people who were tired of being divided between red and blue, and we truly wanted to take our government back and bring it back to representation for the people, by the people, it 100% could happen, and it would happen, and it's absolutely not too late. Now, we're getting to a point where it may be eventually it's going to be too late, but it's not too late now to do it peacefully. Aggressively but peacefully. We have to unite against both parties. There always hasn't been these two parties. There have been more parties in the past. There's nothing that says that these two parties have to be part of our political system. And a matter of fact, as in the Declaration of Independence, it says that it's our responsibility as a society, as Americans, that if the government is doing something improperly, it's our responsibility to change it. And my contention is always that this current generation of boomers, Gen X, like myself, Gen Y, which are millennials, and Gen Z are going to have to take our heads out of our asses, and we're going to have to change things and do it. And every other generation or series of generations in the past has had to protect freedom, liberty, and all the American values in the past. So if you're just going to sit and whine about issues all the time and complain and argue against two sides, you're fighting the wrong battle. The right battle is to make sure that we are focusing on all the special interests. And when I say special interests, you usually think of just special interests as some unknown mythological creature. It's not. There's so many special interests, from foreign special interests and foreign agents, from foes and allies alike. There's also the Christian national special interests like the Cambridge Institute and the Heritage Foundation that are trying to overturn our democracy. It's also about the corporate monarchs, as I like to call them. These are the Silicon Valley billionaires that are trying to take our democracy into a full corporatocracy or a plutocracy. And they're all positioning themselves. Those are some of the most nefarious groups that are trying to take away our democracy. And my point is that none of the issues that we all talk about Okay, David TikTok, I see that. You want to talk. You're going to jump in a moment. Fred, you're in the list, so I got you in there. My contention is that while we may not be functioning as a representative democracy anymore, that is probably true. We still are technically a representative democracy and a constitutional republic. And we have to make sure that if you actually give a shit about your life and American values and the life of your kids and future generations, that it's going to take something different. And it's not just fighting about gun rights or immigrations or all these issues. It's about protecting values and fighting for principles. And the principle that I'm always fighting for, or just starting to fight for, like most of us wake up in the morning, we think we can't do anything. Well, none of us individually can do anything, but 50 to 70 million of us could absolutely do something, and do something completely transformational, because it doesn't have to be like this. And again, it's always focused at the top. It's the people in power, the people with money, and the people have nefarious motives against our democracy and American values. All right, Shani, you think I'm spreading misinformation? Yeah, dream on. I'm not spreading misinformation, but you're welcome to tell me. Well, today's topic is more about Air Force One facility. I don't know. I think everyone's going to disagree with you. I'm spreading misinformation, really. Special interest groups, corporations, and billionaires, like, they're not the root cause of every issue in the United States. Now, you might be thinking about this. What are your thoughts on having the Qatar Air Force facility base in Idaho on a U.S. Air Force base? That is absolutely technically correct. So I don't know if you're replying to that. There's not misinformation in that thing whatsoever. You're welcome to tell me in 2 minutes if you think I am. I'm going to be taking 10 guests. So thanks for everybody for being here. And I think we're going to get started. We got enough people in here. We got Fred and the Gayval 2001. You guys are up first. I'm going to bring you in one at a time. You're each going to get 2 minutes. Let's do our best to stay on topic and talk about what are your thoughts on the Qatar Air Force facility. And if you can tell me what generation you are, Gen Y, Gen X, Gen Z, Gen Alpha. Well, Gen Alpha shouldn't be here. They're too young. But anyway, what generation are you, and where do you stand on the political spectrum? That'll be my first question to you, and then we'll go from there. So taking our first guests to tell me what your thoughts are. Try and keep the best you can, be succinct, clear as much as possible. I'm not going to give too much opinion on these things until the end after we take 10 guests. So the first guest is going to be Fred, and we have a good showing. Welcome, Fred. How you doing?
I'm good.
Thanks for having me. So what generation are you? Are you American, and where do you lean on the political spectrum?
I am American. I would be Gen X, and I classify myself as free-thinking independent.
Okay, awesome. I love creative labels for various independents. I think it has merit. All right,
Yeah.
so what do you think about this deal with the Qatar Air Force facility on a U.S. Air Base in Idaho? Is it a shady deal?
So my understanding of this, and please correct me if I'm wrong, is that this is a deal that goes back to the Obama era. I think maybe his last year. I believe it was officially signed when they purchased $12 billion worth of F-15s. Those resources are ready to be delivered, and we're going to be providing training facilities. I don't think they're building a Qatari base in the U.S. It's my understanding they're building barracks and an operations center for them to work from at their expense, and they're going to be reimbursing us for all training. As it relates to our relationship with Qatar, they are a strategic ally. They're positioned in a significant strategic location on the planet that allows access to one of the more dynamic conflict zones in the world. And I believe we actually have 2 military bases within their country of under 3 million people. So I see this as an expansion of our global presence and an enhancement of our military presence. And I also think that this is something that we've been doing for 35 or 40 years, including with Japan, Singapore, and various other strategic partners that we have around the world. So from my perspective, this is an accretive and smart defensive positioning strategy.
Okay, I think that was really well said. I think the only thing you're not entirely right about, there was some discussions and collaboration laid out by the Obama administration for this. The deal wasn't signed or agreed upon, but there was some collaboration talks happening with Obama. So other than, being a deal. So you're right in some respects, but not entirely right.
If I didn't say it right, I meant to say the deal was signed in 2017 is my understanding.
Let's see. They did sign a $12 billion defense agreement that included provisions for a U.S. based training facility by Qatari forces. That's right. Right. Okay. So your opinion that it's strategic ally and that we should do it. Do you think there's any problems about being shady, knowing that they wanted to give, obviously, the Boeing jet to be used as Air Force One, and that Eric Trump has creating golf courses, and that the Qatari government has been giving Jared Kushner, of course, billions of dollars in investments? Like, any crossover? Do you think there's a problem there in terms of perception?
I think it's part of the interdependent relationships that we share with foreign nations for mutual benefit, and I don't think one begets the other.
Okay. Even though they don't adhere to a lot of human rights and so forth that our normal well, not all of them, but many of our normal democratic partners or NATO partners would adhere to.
Well, they are a Muslim nation, and I think that religion has a different set of priorities as it relates to how they govern themselves than we do. I don't think that I'm able to judge whether it's right or wrong, only that it's different.
Okay. Well, I appreciate point of views. I think there's some really wonderful critical thinking in your point of view. I know there seems to be a lot of people angry at this, but I think your point of view was very thoughtful. So thanks for joining.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Okay, we're going to take the next guest now. That's GayVal 2001. Welcome to the live as you're getting hooked up here, and hopefully we can hear you well. Yep, and that's right. C-Bar said it's a facility within a facility. There's already another foreign country there. I think there's multiple foreign countries being trained there, right? It's not a Qatari base like you're hearing some of the reporting. Kenneth Cowboy, you're up next. The last person didn't join. It's not a Qatari Air Force base in our country. It's a facility, like the last caller said, it's barracks and so forth. And we're going to be training these Qatari pilots based on this deal. All right, welcome to the show. What are your thoughts on a Qatari Air Force facility on a U.S. base in Idaho? Is this a shady deal?
I don't think so. I mean, we look at it, even here in the United States, we have multiple other countries set up at our own military bases, like Australian, UK, German. They have their own barracks in our military bases for training of their own people on U.S. equipment.
Right, like we have hundreds of bases across the world as well on other people's property.
Exactly. These aren't bases this is a complex a barracks. I mean, we even did it for the Ukrainians when they came here. They went to a base, I think it was in Colorado, to train on the F-16.
Right, and we've done it historically mostly for our partnerships of strategic partnerships, like NATO partners and Pacific Rim partners, that are mostly democracies, not all of them. This one seems to be a little bit different, but maybe not, right?
I'm not too sketched out by it. I mean, like the previous person discussed, there was the deal signed back in 2017, the defense contract, and Qatar since then has continued to make itself a very strategic ally in the Middle East.
Some people would say they've also been a key financier of terrorism.
They have. I will completely agree with you on that.
Yeah. So
it's kind of it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't. That's kind of how I view it. We're friends with them because they give us the launching off point for anything against Iran.
Right. But we have 700 military I think it's 700 plus military bases around the Middle East and around the world. So is that one, how important is this?
I think it's incredibly important, especially when you look at I can't remember the name of the strait.
Hormuz Strait?
Yeah, the Strait of Hormuz, where Qatar is very close to it. Mm-hmm. And being able to have a fast reaction force, within 30-minute flight.
Yep.
You're over the Strait of Hormuz.
Okay, so also, just like the last guest, I think very well thought out and good critical thinking on your part, Agren. Not that you need my validation, but we have 2 votes for that it's okay, and I think it's okay. And unless you have
I should
anything.
also
Yeah.
I forgot to tell you my generation and my
Oh, yes,
political
thank you.
leaning. I am Gen Z. I was born 2001, and my political leaning is that I'm a syndicalist.
What is that?
Union should run the government.
Are you more towards communist?
No, it's more like like leftist, away from communism.
No,
I don't trust
communism is as far left as you can get.
Have you ever seen the political compass?
Yes.
Bottom middle, it's like in the middle of the green.
Okay. I appreciate it. And I really I love having Gen Z on this show. I'm having more and more Gen Zers to join because I think you guys are the most important generation if we're going to save American democracy or representative democracy. So it's really nice to see your generation here often. And it's like I said, it's happening more and more. And it's going to take your generation to understand politics in a way that maybe previous generations haven't needed to. So
Yeah, trust me, I feel young whenever I go on panels because they're like, "Why are you?" I'm like, "You're young." They're like, "You're the youngest person on the panel." I'm like, "Yeah, because I'm very politically involved."
yeah, good for you, man. We
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. Keep getting more people involved. Thanks for joining. Okay, so next guest coming up. So that's 2 votes that it's okay, no problem. We're going to go to Jason next, and then Rick will be right up after that. Again, that was a little bit more than 2 minutes, so I'm going to give 2 minutes. What are your thoughts?
Hello, sir. Thank you for letting me join. I just want to, first of all, say, hey, my name is Jason. I'm 44 years old. To be honest, I've encountered all kinds of people around here, but I'm just here to share my views and opinions, and I'm not trying to push them on you, but just kind of like wanted to, I guess, the right thing to do would be to ask you, what do you want to talk about?
I have the question right up there. What are your thoughts on the Qatar Air Force base on the Air Force facility on a U.S. Air Base in Idaho? Is it a shady deal or is it legit?
Okay. So I'll give my answer on that. I know nothing about it. I have not researched it.
Okay.
That would be my answer on that.
Okay.
I know nothing about it. I have not researched it, so I don't know what to comment on that.
Okay. I always have the prompt up here for you to take a look at when you do join the lives, and that's typically what we stay on.
Well, just so you know, sometimes I just join lives because I sense, and I know this is going to sound ridiculous, I sense good energy from people, and I sense the good energy from you. So that's why I
Right on.
joined live.
Appreciate it. Well, thank you, Jason. So I won't count you as a vote, but thanks for joining anyway.
Yeah.
All right. We'll
So
see you.
you want to keep talking?
Okay, Rick, you're up next. Welcome, Rick. You know the topic, Rick. I hope you'll stay on point with the topic. What are your thoughts on the Qatar Air Force facility on a U.S. Air Base in Idaho? Welcome back.
I mean, I don't think it's unusual at all. And I think the pearl clutching about like Qatar's human rights records is kind of laughable when you consider all of the other U.S. allies and their human rights records. Like, is Qatar's worse than France's? Certainly not worse than Israel's. Right? Like, we have a long history of supporting. I mean, we supported the Mujahideen in the '80s. We supported like all sorts of like way worse characters than Qatar. Like they, I mean, they're awful. I'm not going to say that they're not, but like this idea that like there's like some sort of somehow stepping outside of like the norm in the U.S. is just laughable.
Yeah, it just seems like MAGA on there's Laura Loomer and a few other MAGA influencers are making a massive deal on it, and that's why I thought it was interesting. Like, okay, why isn't it such a massive deal?
Wait, the MAGA people are mad about this?
Yeah, the hardcore MAGA people are the ones that are pissed about this.
That's weird because I thought it was mostly libs.
I mean, I don't know. Everything that I've seen in Reddit and so forth is all geared towards Laura Loomer is like the key proponent and the one just screaming from the rooftops about this. She had, I think, 50 Twitter posts about this thing just in the past 24 hours.
Do you think it's just like the Islamophobia?
Yes, I think so. Yeah. Well, I think there's some we make, we have to. The United States has kept, some certain enemies close, right? You can keep your enemy of your enemy is my friend, right? So, but in this case, I think it is sort of Islamic phobia and so forth, but it does seem to be MAGA because of, I don't really know why.
Yeah, but it is weird because like it's been a thing for like a long time.
Yeah.
A bunch of allies in the Gulf states. They've been like Trump loves.
If you can speak up, you got to speak up because you got some background noise.
I said Trump loves the Saudis, and he's been He's been making deals with the Saudis since well before.
That's right. I think that for me, that's where the real issue comes in, is the optics of impropriety here between all the transactional deals they've made with the Qataris.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. But
Yep.
like, what's the difference? I mean, we're selling them the planes already, so like, you have to train them. If you
Right.
can't just like give them a plane and not train them.
Okay, so your vote is okay. So we got 3 votes okay.
I mean, I wouldn't say it's okay, but like, it's not unusual.
It's not unusual, right?
Yes.
That's a better way of saying it. Absolutely, better way of saying it. All right, I'm going to kick you mostly just because your audio, because you're in a busy place. Okay, so if anyone else wants to join and give me your votes, it sounds like just certain MAGA people are making a big deal out of this. You know, they're claiming it's a Qatari base on U.S. soil. It's a Qatari facility. I mean, the devil's always in the details, right, people? So it's important there. If anyone wants to jump into the box and give me your thoughts on this, is this a shady deal? Does it have anything to do with all the deals between the Trump family and so forth? Or is this just, strategic alliances getting closer with the United States? Again, this seems to be a MAGA issue or a hardcore MAGA issue, trying to create some division between Trump and MAGA in general, which has, of course, happened quite a bit lately, especially with the Epstein files. So that's what's obviously happened there. So anyone else want to jump in the box? What are your thoughts on the Qatar Air Force facility on a U.S. Air Base in Idaho, where there are also other foreign soldiers that are training on this facility? Or is it related to the Air Force One gift and Eric Trump building golf courses in Qatar and the billions of dollars that the Qatari government has given to the son-in-law, Jared Kushner, and so forth? No MAGA said a word. I don't know what that means. Laura Loomer has been all over this, in addition to a couple other influencers. So as the comments, no Qatar base. There were Saudis all over San Diego Naval Station in the 70s. Yep, it wasn't. Actually, I'm not that familiar with that at all. This was planned since the Biden administration. Actually, it was planned since 2017. There was a collaboration between the defense agreement and the Qataris regarding training Qatari Air Forces in the United States. So that's a Qatari facility on a U.S. Air Base. That basically means barracks and some other. They're going to pay for it all to be able to have their Air Force pilots trained there. So it doesn't look like this is actually a topic that too many people care about or giving their opinions. So we had 4 people on the line already. 4 guests have joined, and they have said that 3 of them said it's not unusual, that this is essentially a strategic alliance between the United States and Qatar. My only point is, unless someone wants to join into the box, and then I'm going to shut it down, that this is a non-issue, other than the fact that you just can't get over the gift that Qatar has wanted to give Trump, and Trump wanted to accept, of a 787 to be used as Air Force One. And people say, other governments have given gifts to, thank you for the rose. That's so awesome. Thank you. And for the likes, it helps spread the live to more people, because I want to really cut on this. If you haven't followed already, please follow, because I'm all about eliminating corruption from government. That's what my platform is about. But the problem for me here comes in only from the fact that Qatar has a really bad record on human rights. They are a monarchy and run by a family, so basically a dictatorship with some very minimal constitutional rights for its people and having some representation. But for the most part, it's in. But the only problem I have is perception is reality. And when you've given a gift of a 787 that's worth $500 million to a president who's going to claim it after his presidency, and that's not in question really, that's going to happen. And you might say that other presidents have accepted gifts. No, not anyone near the scale that this gift is. There have been given keys to the city and other things that have been given to presidents, and small gifts, but not a $500 million gift of this case to a president, in addition to the billions of dollars given to Jared Kushner and all the transactional deals that this administration and people related to this administration have been working closely with Qatar. So this, to me, is while this may not be related to the Qatar Air Force facility deal, and it probably is not, I think it's nothing unusual about this. The problem is there is clear grifting happening by the family of Trump with the Qatari government. They've been getting closer with the Qatari government and grifting from them to enrich themselves, which you could go back to Biden's son, Hunter, being part of the Ukrainian Burisma board and getting paid by Ukraine. I would have said the same thing. It's bullshit. It shouldn't happen. You shouldn't have this open corruption and grifting that's happening and self-enrichment by anyone in our political system, any elected politician. I know that sounds pie in the sky, and every one of us are used to this kind of corruption. It shouldn't happen, and it doesn't have to happen. If Americans got pissed off about it enough and we wanted to unite in eliminating corruption by all these special interests and foreign forces and so forth, it could happen, right? But we have to make sure it happens, and we have a responsibility to make it happen. And it's going to take 50 to 70 million people to make it happen, to have any chance. All right, so that's my thoughts on this topic. So it doesn't look like anyone else wants to jump into the box. I'm going to come back later with a different topic. I wanted to see if I could learn something here, and if there were any hardcore right-wing people that were really pissed about it. I didn't find that yet. It just sounds to be in the MAGA echo chamber that they're trying to make something out of this. But if you haven't followed me before, if you're new to this channel and this account, please follow me here and on the other platform, because I'm going to spend the next few years trying to promote and advocate getting involved in civics. Because if you care about, I don't care about what the issue is, whether it's this issue, whether it's abortion, whether it's immigration, whether it's gun rights, whether it's healthcare, any of that stuff, we're all fighting against each other instead of fighting against the real problem, the real root cause, and that's the corruption by special interest billionaires and corporations and foreign governments within those special interests, and the Heritage Foundation, the Cambridge Institute, and the ACLU, and just tons of other, hundreds of other special interests that end up buying our government and influencing our government, and we don't have representation for the people, by the people, like we should have. And that's what democracy was meant to go towards, full representation for the people, by the people. So that's why it's really important you follow and you like and you share some of my other videos. If you haven't watched my videos before, please look at the 3 top pinned videos. Please share them and repost them, because it's really important to get the word out. I've just started a few months ago with this account. And like most of you, we all feel like there's nothing we can do. And as individuals, there's nothing we can do to eliminate corruption in our government. But together with unity, and we stop fighting with each other, because we're being positioned to fight with one another through a strategy, the timeless strategy of divide and conquer. If we want to stop arguing about the issues that are less important and focus on the most important one, and that's ensuring that we're eliminating corruption. So thanks everybody for joining and for the likes and the badges. I'll see you again later on today, and I'll see you soon.